As a result of this great chaos and the threat that Element and the Tectorans pose, another great time disruption at various heroes from different times, particularly the time of Calvin Kinkolo and Kurzner was popping in the dimensions. That of Kelly and his forces, as wife Nate and even Zoyun joined them, along with his friends Spence, Deal Kelly, and Electron, and also Albo Dalbino, who was a general in the Hamakinkolo Empire, along with his sons Toon and Rissi, his great son, first son, and brilliant swordsman Alvin, and Bro King, his brother King, and Roxanne and Jamal. Also was the and crafty strategist Susan Sasser, who died before she had a chance to unite the land, on her wing, along with Booker Collagen and Herman Sasser and Racy Sasser and their various forces. A new power that was ever in the mentions, a composition led by Antio, who was a composition with big giants, right? A mixture of giants and strong, heavy bone giants and normal sized people until and face ballerina style attacks. Given her large size, she moves quickly and her attacks are devastating. Long before was Bank Position and and Bastion and her strategist Content Blue and the soon to be hopeful Reno Green. Also during this time was a young explorer named Anthea LaFleur, who was a descendant of the LaFleurs. Seeing the LaFleurs still survived, they stayed in dimensions despite Androscon being destroyed. It had been a long, long time, but at least for Athena LaFleur and her friends, um, Eris and Windsor, and their troops were not directly involved with the main empire, but were descendants of residents that resided in the dimensions. And they were explorers. And seeing that the Dectorans region a campaign of terror and strife, and all these different armies were approaching, it was imperative for her to answer the call of her family and to help the people. And so she embarked on a quest to look for something, as Elishu was being divided up between east, west, north, and south. Right? The forces that beat were on the move. Right? Particularly the Tectorn, as Kelly went to face Element, because he saw Element as the evil threat. A threat had never been seen since the days of his former lord Calvin Kinkolo. But Element soundly defeated Kelly, and Kelly barely escaped with his life, as So Yun was killed by Element's robotic um, Dell. So he was killed, trying to rescue and save Kelly. But not day forward, Kelly vowed for vengeance against this evil and tyrannical cyborg. And so after his death, Element took the let me see the northern part of Inishu, as Inishu was divided up between these forces. The center south was Athena and her band, and to the southeast was the Albino forces, because that was the Kichu area, and to the central south, was the Sasa, who took over, the former lands of Sulimachen and other adjacent lands for itself. And to the west, the southwest was the composition. Kelly had the old Aretha and was trying to reconnect with the Albino, seeing that they were former allies and they were friends, until Adam Patience to take all the west and was about to advance to the northwest and take that region, while Kelly and his forces were trying to take over and defeat the Dacdaran. It was at this time that Dr. Regal and Dr. Poe, the creators of Element, discovered to the northeast a jungle area, right? And legend had it that the old city of Anjosica, before it was destroyed by the Phoenix eons ago, according to legend, was there, and maybe the most powerful weapon in the known universe history, the mighty emblem of LaFleur's, might be there as well. They lured their lord, who was powerful and nothing could hurt him or destroy him. Said that weapon was in the hands of you, Element, and nothing indeed would stop you. And so the Dacdarans were about to venture out to the east, leaving Tay and Odom, and other generals of the Dacdaran, to deal with the pest of Kelly and his forces. While this was going on, Althea LaFleur and her forces, right, of her friend Arius and Windsor, decided to take their troops to this jungle, hearing two of these rumors. And they heard of a jungle people and a jungle king, King Juju, was also there, determined to have the jungle people on their side in order to help raise troops to defeat the Electricons and all the other warlords that threaten the peace, not only in dimensions, but in the wider universe. Decided to reach the king. They had a small skirmish as the king wanted to test their might. They soundly defeated him, and the king was like, "Oh, okay, I will listen to you and what you have to say." Not too much time. King Juju slapped his big gut and said, "Ho ho, ho ho, Althea, yes indeed. Alright. But hey, come. I have this big giant rock over here. And none of my strongest men, not even me, could take it up." And Windsor looked down at it and said, "This isn't a rock, this is gold. It's hard on the ground. Have you tried digging it up?" And King Juju's commander said, "Yeah, we tried digging it up with a hand, shovel, even our beasts. And the whole ground is hard beneath us. We do not understand." And then when Althea, the legit LaFleur, touched it, she found something amazing. Suddenly, the jungle began to dissipate, and the whole land was changed, and everyone was moving up and down, and all the animals, and then the whole land transformed. They survived the transformation. It was the lost golden city of Anjosica, fully restored, a paradise of rivers, streams, forest, and of course, magnificent buildings. Althea could not believe it. She was one of the last of the LaFleurs during that time. And now that the golden city had returned, it was clear that the LaFleurs could indeed rise again and bring peace to these troubled times. Just as Dr. Poe and Regal had expected, the golden city of Anjosica, indeed, the emblem must be around, and Merce, a LaFleur, must still be existing. And so they told their Lord Element now was the time to go. The Tectorans were moving forward. While all this was going on, Abunobino tried to make his way to Kelly by going to the Bayou Road between the borders of everyone, while everyone was distracted with their own internal affairs. He did not try to attack the lands of the floor or the new Golden City or anywhere like that, because he really wanted to reach Kelly and form an alliance. While Kelly's forces was dealing another defeat from the Tactoran, Theo told Bastian and Colton Blue and bar in position to attack the northwest, claiming the entire west for themselves, leaving Kelly then vulnerable, and thus making it much easier for Albert Urbino and his forces to reach out to his former friend, Spence and Dear Kelly and Erickton reach out to Albino, and they formed their alliance. Although this is going on, a big clash between the jungle people, the Josephine forces, and the Tactorans was heating up. Element had arrived inside the castle, and he was chasing Althea, who was running. She had run out of ammo for her blasters and was about to face annihilation as Element went to his laser eye to end her. Suddenly, she held her hand out like that, and a strange weapon with many tombs and looked very heavy and menacing, was extremely strangely like to her. And then she quickly jumped up off her feet and swing the emblem on Element's chest. Element was greatly damaged, and for the first time ever, his shield and his inner circuits were exposed. Element could not believe it. Seeing this, Tay took Element and told the men time to retreat and run away. Element returned back to the north, stunned, for this emblem was that strong, and he was on the verge of being destroyed with just one leg. Hearing this, Kelly and his new allies, the Albino, as Albert Albino sent his son, Alvin, the mighty swordsman, and his brother Ken, and Jamal, along with the Kellys, to destroy the Electricon Tactorans once and for all. While this was going on, Antio and Susan Sasa were at war to the southwest, as Susan Sasa wanted to take all the south for itself and force a mighty final showdown with the Northerners. Seeing this, Antio worked to make a hedge between the Sasa and the Collagen, but they had learned from their previous mistakes and they unified more than ever before. Thus, the ploy did not work, and so the composition met Susanna and her forces to a final battle. The campaign lasted for 2 years. By the end of the day, very much rose in fighting between the two forces. It was a dead heat and a deadlock. Then the mighty warrior, the young warrior, Reno Green, was finally of age to join the fight. Susan Sasa and Rissy Sasa and Emma Sasa and Booker Collagen had all the composition officers on check except for this one warrior, who snuck behind the main camp and charged, setting ablaze the entire place. Right? And then the encampment of the Sasa had to retreat. For now, right? And then it was a brief pause in the war.